If you thought things were going to get easier in Florida, you are unfortunately wrong. Hi, my name is Joseph. I'm with MTech, the Miami Tech Enthusiast Club, and we have what I would consider to be now the worst bill from a digital rights and digital privacy perspective being considered in the Florida legislature. This is SB 1722, the Florida App Store Accountability Act. If you've heard of the App Store Accountability Act before, you may have heard about it in the context of the Texas, Utah, and Louisiana laws. There's also a federal version of this law that is currently making its way through Congress. The big kicker of this bill is that it would require for you to have to identify yourself in order to use your phone's App Store. That means there'd be no question as to who you are, as to who the person who is using this device is, and therefore, potentially, with how it's implemented or how these companies find a way to get around things, everything that you do on your device, every app that you download, what content you view on your phone, what you're doing in your different apps and services that you're using, who you're talking to, what you're talking about, how often you're talking about those things, or with whom you're talking with, anywhere you go with your phone, anywhere with you have location services turned on, all of these things can be tracked and unquestionably tied to you. There are details about how severe, how bad of a problem this could be, but to tie something like identity verification, or in this case, age verification, which is the purpose of the bill, to something that is core, not just to using a phone, but to 21st century living, is insane. Now, the Texas version of this bill has been blocked by a federal judge. The hope is that something similar would happen in the case of the Florida bill, but we cannot let it get that far. We cannot wait to have the most important device, one of the most important objects in our life, an object that, especially with technology, allows us to enjoy freedom and to enforce accountability when we may not be seeing that today. We cannot have this turned on us and become the second half of a surveillance system, where on one end so much of our information is already being collected and tracked. We're being monitored on a regular basis through surveillance capitalism and ad technologies and Facebook and Meta and all these things and Google. On the other hand, you have to know exactly who it is who you're monitoring, and that is the question that these systems answer. On top of that, they don't do anything to protect children, which is the context in which this bills and other similar age verification bills are being considered. And kids find a way to get around it, or the parents just let them on the device. So we're talking about, again, across all these age verification bills, building out surveillance infrastructure that in the end is going to only result in a loss of privacy for us and infringing our rights and government overreach and companies having more and more control over us. So we need to stop this bill. It is SB 1722. Call your state legislators and tell them you oppose SB 1722. More content to come. Thank you.